KaraokeBooks.
Candide. Audiobook. Written by Voltaire. Translated by Tobias Smollett. Chapter 10. In what distress Candide, Cunegonde, and the old woman arrive at Cadiz, and of their embarkation. Who could it be that has robbed me of my moidores and jewels? Exclaimed Miss Cunegonde, all bathed in tears. How shall we live? What shall we do? Where shall I find inquisitors and Jews who can give me more? Alas, said the old woman, I have a shrewd suspicion of a reverend Franciscan father, who lay last night in the same inn with us at Badajoz. God forbid I should condemn any one wrongfully, but he came into our room twice, and he set off in the morning long before us. Alas, said Candide, Pangloss has often demonstrated to me that the goods of this world are common to all men, and that everyone has an equal right to the enjoyment of them. But, notwithstanding, according to these principles, the Franciscan ought to have left us enough to carry us to the end of our journey. Have you nothing at all left, my dear Miss Cunegonde? Not a maravedi, replied she. What is to be done then? Said Candide. Sell one of the horses, replied the old woman. I will get up behind Miss Cunegonde, though I have only one buttock to ride on, and we shall reach Cadiz. In the same inn there was a Benedictine friar, who bought the horse very cheap. Candide, Cunegonde, and the old woman, after passing through Lucina, Chelas, and Latrixa, arrived at length at Cadiz. A fleet was then getting ready, and troops were assembling in order to induce the Reverend Fathers, Jesuits of Paraguay, who were accused of having excited one of the Indian tribes in the neighborhood of the town of the Holy Sacrament, to revolt against the kings of Spain and Portugal. Candide, having been in the Bulgarian service, performed the military exercise of that nation before the general of this little army with so intrepid an air, and with such agility and expedition, that he received the command of a company of foot. Being now made a captain, he embarked with Miss Cunegonde, the old woman, 2 valets, and the 2 Andalusian horses, which had belonged to the Grand Inquisitor of Portugal. During their voyage they amused themselves with many profound reasonings on poor Pangloss's philosophy. We are now going into another world, and surely it must be there that everything is for the best. For I must confess that we have had some little reason to complain of what passes in ours, both as to the physical and moral part. Though I have a sincere love for you, said Miss Cunegonde, yet I still shudder at the reflection of what I have seen and experienced. All will be well, replied Candide. The sea of this new world is already better than our European seas. It is smoother, and the winds blow more regularly. God grant it, said Cunegonde, but I have met with such terrible treatment in this world that I have almost lost all hopes of a better one. What murmuring and complaining is here indeed, cried the old woman. If you had suffered half what I have, there might be some reason for it. Miss Cunegonde could scarce refrain from laughing at the good old woman, and thought it droll enough to pretend to a greater share of misfortunes than her own. Alas! My good dame, said she, unless you had been ravished by 2 Bulgarians, had received 2 deep wounds in your belly, had seen 2 of your own castles demolished, had lost 2 fathers, and 2 mothers, and seen both of them barbarously murdered before your eyes, and to sum up all, had 2 lovers whipped at an auto-da-fe, I cannot see how you could be more unfortunate than I. Add to this, though born a baroness, and bearing 72 quarterings, I have been reduced to the station of a cook-wench. Miss, replied the old woman, you do not know my family as yet, but if I were to show you my posteriors, you would not talk in this manner, but suspend your judgment. This speech raised a high curiosity in Candide and Cunegonde, and the old woman continued as follows.
KaraokeBooks.